Hey guys, it's Hail Zeon.
And Dr. Aggro.
And, so Marvel finally fucked up.
Well, I mean, if you look at the graph, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look like, I mean, I don't think, like, Luke Cage is, like,
Luke Cage wasn't great.
Correct. Which is what all these shows have been up until this point.
Yeah.
And
we finally have another end so we can make a bell curve.
Yeah. Because, like, up until this point, like, we had Daredevil Season 1, as far as going by their Netflix shows. We had Daredevil Season 1, fucking fantastic. We had Jessica Jones Season 1, fantastic. Daredevil Season 2 was half of a fantastic show.
Half and half, yeah.
Yeah, it was like we, the Punisher was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then it just kind of, at the second part, it started off solid. It was a good foundation. It just needed, like, but then, like, the second half was really going to be what made or break this.
And it just went off the fucking rails.
Yes. Like, and I can't even say, like, the first half is particularly, like, super good. Like, it's just, like it's just kind of like on that cusp of good where it really was, like, kind of banking, I felt like it was banking on that second half. And,
well, I mean, it was doing, like, one of the problems I brought up with how are they going to do Luke Cage series is, how are you going to threaten Luke Cage?
Right.
We already pulled the whole subversive mind control thing for Jessica Jones, so, like, how... And it was going to be a series that was more about how Luke Cage chooses to use his power, the social implications of it. It was going to be more of that for the conflict. And that was for the first half of it. It was how Luke Cage chose to use his incredible power to impact a community of normal humans.
Yes.
And then the series literally pulls a magic bullet out of its ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. When that happens. But yeah, like, just to talk about this first half of this series. So, one of my biggest issues I kind of had with it, because I was trying to figure out, like, what it was that was kind of bothering me about this. And it's kind of two things. One, Luke Cage does not have a strong supporting cast. And whenever he does have good members in his supporting cast, they fucking kill them off to give, like, him more things to anguish over. And it's like, okay, and Luke Cage himself, I feel like, isn't interesting enough of a personality to kind of carry that kind of story. Like he needs a little bit, he needs people to play off of, which is why he really worked great as a supporting role in Jessica Jones, because playing off of Jessica Jones and playing off of everyone else.
He really could have used a sidekick.
Yeah, he needed someone.
He needs Iron Fist.
Yeah,
that's what he needs.
He needs fucking Iron Fist. Like, I don't even want Luke Cage Season 2. I want Heroes for Hire, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Like, that's what I want. But, so, yeah, like he really needed someone else to play off of. And also, this series is very much like a send-up to, like, 1970s blaxploitation films. It is like that Shaft, that Dolomite kind of, like if you don't know what the hell blaxploitation is, go watch Black Dynamite and just pretend they were being completely unironic, and you get blaxploitation. But yeah, so like he isn't like because those characters, those blaxploitation like main protagonists, it's always that dude who's just super badass and he's super cool and he's super suave. He's like like an urban. It's always like the kind of like urban James Bond type character. Gets all the pussy. He's the coolest fucking guy. Takes all the fucking ass.
Luke Cage was created as a token black character in that era.
Yeah,
so that is specifically who he is.
Yeah, and like for his original run of comics, that worked perfectly because that's what he was. He was made in that time frame, so it worked. When you try to modernize him, you just kind of end up with this, admittedly, incredibly chiseled, handsome black guy who's built like a brick shithouse, who's just kind of bland and milquetoast in terms of his personality. So yeah, like he just didn't have like the personality I felt like to carry his
that's
show.
what I loved about his personality, because Luke Cage in this series is he's good, and he's the kind of good that is always kind of surprised when everyone else is not as good as he is. It's just which does it comes off as like old school first edition Paladin bland.
Yeah, and which is why he needed someone to bounce off of. I mean, in the second half, he gets Claire, and like, they have a really great dynamic. I love her as, like, that sidekick to Luke Cage, but that's in the second half of the show where things just kind of fucking go off the rails. And also, oh god, Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth was such a great villain.
He really was.
He was so goddamn good in this series. And at first I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this guy. And, yeah, because I felt like, oh, it's another mobster. We already had Kingpin. How are you going to top Kingpin? Well, they don't top Kingpin. They do something completely different from Kingpin. And you had this guy who was raised in this crime family who came from basically the fucking ghetto. You know, it's Harlem. It's the ghetto. So, yeah, and you have, like, just, you know, his kind of... You get to see what his arc was and what got him to this point. And he's very respectable, or he's very respectful of people. You know, he has, like, whenever Pops gets killed, you know, he has that great fucking scene with Luke Cage where, actually, first he has that great fucking scene where he throws the guy off the goddamn building. Which then, that's that scene where I realized that Turk from fucking Daredevil was in this show. I hadn't even noticed him. Like, it wasn't until you had that line of, like, man, you Harlem niggas are crazy. I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen where it's safe. Like, that line, I was like, oh shit, it's Turk! And then he just kind of fucks off until, like, the later half of the show, and he finally comes back. But, yeah, I was just like, oh shit, that was cool. But, yeah, like, he has that fucking scene where just, like, you see, like, you killed him, like, no. And just throws his ass off, and he has that fucking line with Luke Cage where he goes, believe it or not, there's supposed to be rules to this shit. You know, and, you know, he does try to, like abide by those certain kind of, like this weird kind of gangster code of ethics.
Yeah, it's a large part of the theming in the first part of the show, where it's, you know, Harlem, the history of the community, it's always this duality between, like, this is what a black American community could be and what a black American community, like, really shouldn't be. It's Harlem's always had the duality, and you've got that overlaid with the generational thing of, like, this is what crime used to look like, this is what crime looks like now, and how it's going to change with the rise of many humans. It's this beautiful, intricate theme work that just, like, a lot of other plot lines just fucks off in the second half of the series.
Yeah. Like all that good, strong theming, it's just, like, they fucking drop in this cartoonish supervillain. Honestly, though...
Cottonmouth hits the floor, and that show ends.
Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much. So, okay. First off, something I wanted to bring up in the first half of the show, like, just some little things that bugged me. How the show unfolds its narrative, I didn't really care for, because, like, the first few episodes, it's just like, okay, are we actually going to get into, like, you know, who these people are to him, his connection to them? Like, episode 4 is when you finally, like, you know, get his fucking backstory, and they do it in a way that's very... They do it in a way where, oh shit, I'm blanking out. Fuck. They do it in a way where they keep certain things from you, you know, and so they can build them up later. But it's like, because you don't have that information, and only having like half of a backstory, really, it just didn't sit well with me. And the episode they chose to drop his backstory in, really, it could have been dropped anywhere, because it's not like that specific moment worked well for that point to tell his backstory.
It's symptomatic of the larger structural problems the series has.
Yeah, and, you know, like with Daredevil, they kind of spread his backstory throughout. You got the important parts at the very beginning, and they kind of, you know, unfolded it as you went. Here, it's just, here's a big glut of his backstory, and then several episodes later, here's another big glut of his backstory in the second half.
Because we spend so long going over and slowly fleshing out Cottonmouth's and What's-Her-Fuck's...
Mariah.
Mariah, that's the word. Their backstory and their family history in Harlem. Like, that's an interesting story, but
yeah.
It gets completely undercut when Willis shows up out of goddamn nowhere, and now we have to fit him into all this dumbass backstory.
Yeah. Oh my god. Fucking Diamondback ruins. Absolutely fucking ruins this show. It's so fucking bizarre that they wrote and crafted this really well-created character like goddamn Cottonmouth, and then you get to the second half, and fucking Diamondback, this guy who keeps being mentioned and built up, and when they do the big fucking reveal for this guy, they do it in this way of, like, you're supposed to know who this guy is. Like, you know, like you've seen him before or something. It's, you know, it's just like, oh man, it's the reveal. It's like, you know, you haven't even shown any of this guy, but you just had him named. It's not like we had any clue. Like, you know, until he starts talking, like, until, like, other scenes start happening, you don't even know for a fact that's Diamondback. You just know he's some guy who has some sort of connection to Luke Cage. And what's the first, like, you know, all this great fucking shit we have from Cottonmouth, what's the first fucking thing Diamondback spouts? Can you dig it? Fucking starts quoting the goddamn Warriors, which is cool, I'll admit, but, like, that's not how you introduce a good villain in my mind.
Honestly, when he showed up, I thought he was just some mercenary that got hired.
Yeah, because that's kind of how it just feels, but, like, the way they frame the shot, it's just like, this is an important character, but they don't tell you who the important character is.
Yeah. So we have two very different stories in the Luke Cage series. The only connecting thread of which is Mariah's admittedly very fascinating arc.
Yes, Mariah's
it shows up now and then to check in.
Yeah, like, fucking Mariah's a great character. Like, her arc, her development is fantastic. It's just, it gets completely undercut by fucking Diamondback. Like I said, Diamondback, like, it hasn't just been, like, you know, oh, well, they killed Cottonmouth, now it's about Mariah, now it's about Shades.
Diamondback's entire function in this story to Shades.
Yeah.
It would have been so much better.
Yeah. Like, they could have just kept building Diamondback up as, like, you know, for something in Season 2. And not go...
Or shit, Shades could have been secretly Diamondback.
Yeah, there could have been a lot of things that they could have done. But, yeah, and then they fucking shoehorn in this bullshit about, like, him being his brother, which I found out is not actually in the comics. He was just a friend of his. And the whole, like... You know, that fucking scene was like, "Nigga, I am your brother," and he fucking shoots him into the garbage truck. I'm like, okay, like, that reveal really doesn't mean anything, because Luke Cage didn't know that, and then we have to fucking dedicate an entire episode, or like a good chunk of an episode, to him remembering his history with Diamondback and going, "Oh my god, he is my brother."
Yeah.
It's just
like Diamondback comes in with this whole emotional tension payoff arc that has nothing to do with the main series.
Yeah.
So whenever Luke is dealing with Diamondback, it's just nothing in the regular narrative is happening. It's just he's on vacation doing this over here.
Yeah. Oh, damn. Yeah, like I said, like Diamondback completely, and he's this fucking camp character. He's this fucking, he's a fucking Saturday morning cartoon that just spews Bible verses and is a pretentious cunt the entire time he's on screen.
Which is fun a lot of the time. If he hadn't shown up halfway through to derail the whole series.
Yeah. Like, had he just been given his own fucking season, yeah, like, he could have worked. But no, he comes in as a Saturday morning fucking cartoon villain in what was a very grounded, serious fucking story with a lot of, like, pathos and emotional payoffs, and then he fucking ruins all of it. And even when he's not on screen, like, you know, just everything he kind of brings with him, like the fucking magic bullets, which I like the fact that it's hammer tech.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, oh, call back to Iron Man 2. We're remembering that Iron Man 2 happened. We apparently can't fucking remember the Hulk happened, which that's something that really pissed me off, is, hey, the Incredible Hulk, for people who don't fucking remember, the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk film is canon to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's referenced in Avengers. It's referenced in Daredevil Season 1. Ben Urich reported on it. You know, like, you know, the devastation of Harlem. Like, the big final climactic battle in Incredible Hulk happened in Harlem. You'd think people would talk about that just a smidge. Especially just a little bit more than the incident from Avengers 1. Because, like, right now we've had a bunch of, you know, like, Avenger-type things going on in this universe. I understand, like, you know, the thing that happened in Manhattan was way more devastating, and it was, you know, closer to them because it was Manhattan. But, you know, like, I really felt like something needed to be referenced to the incident in Harlem, you know, with the Incredible Hulk. Because, like I said, you know, he is part of that, and you know, people want to say, like, oh, well, they're just kind of scrubbing that away from canon, even though Thunderbolt Ross shows up in Civil War, and it's the exact same fucking guy. So, yeah, I wish there would have been, like, a little bit of lip service given to that. That would have been nice. What else was it that fucking... Oh, God. So, you know, Claire shows up, you know, like, Luke gets shot, and one of the things I really like is that they really start giving you this kind of scientific breakdown of how Luke Cage works, like, biologically. And then they completely squander all that sci-fi goodwill they built up by when she goes to, like, remove the bullet shards, she only removes them from one wound. You noticed that, right? Yeah, like she
well,
does...
I think that the second bullet, like, it had already dissipated or something.
Well, no, because
Like, it had stopped fucking him up, right?
Well, no, like what was explained was the bullet gets in and explodes, but because it's inside of Luke Cage, you know, it doesn't blow him up. It just gets caught up in his organs, and because of his regenerative factor, it's actually pulling the shit in deeper. And that's why they had to electrocute it, because they had to get those shards out. So they get the shards out of his shoulder, and he's like, okay, we've got all the shards out. And I'm like, bitch, no you didn't. So it was just a really weird scene where I'm like, there's still the other wound. And like, everyone I know who has seen that is just like, yeah, that was really weird. Like, they just completely fucked off and forgot about the other wound in him. And that really just kind of, like I said, it sullied the sci-fi goodwill that series had been building up. It's like, here, we're going to give you this really scientific explanation of how Luke Cage works, but then we're not actually going to, like, follow through when we actually kind of fix him up and explain how we fixed him up. So, yeah, that bugged me. A lot of, like I said, it is, like, all Diamondback. Like, he kind of fucks up things. You know, I keep hearing people defend the second half of, like, no, see, Diamondback wasn't like the real enemy. The real guy is Shades, because Shades is the one pulling all the strings. It's like, no, Shades was a goddamn lackey.
That's immaterial to the fact that Diamondback's entire arc fucks up the show.
There's that too, because Diamondback is the one put in the forefront, you know. And then we find out that Shades, because like that's the thing, like Shades starts pulling threads and like pulling all those strings near the very end. Basically, when Diamondback fucking double crosses him. You know, if Diamondback had never double crossed him, he never would have teamed up with Mariah. He never would have fucking just, you know, been like, try to do that power play thing. It was literally like this last minute thing on his part. So no, like, he isn't the main mastermind behind this fucking story. Mm-hmm. He isn't the one that the entire crux of the story, like, rests on as its villain. He was just that guy who saw an opportunity and picked it up, and they're gonna build on that for season 2, probably. What else? Fucking Diamondback's goddamn stupid-ass costume, suit, tech bullshit.
Aww.
I hated that. Like, he fucking shows up, like, you know, and yes, it is comic accurate, I guess. But, oh, speaking of comic accurate, before I go on that bitch fit, I need to bring up one of the best fucking moments is when Luke Cage fucking, like, because they put him in the chamber and he has the goddamn tiara on. I'm like, it's the tiara, it's great. And, you know, like, he has the fucking manacles, that's fucking awesome. And then, like, he's running and he, like, puts on, like, the fucking shit. And he's got, for some reason, he fucking ties a chain around his waist in that sequence because they're going for the comic accurate thing. And he's just like, I look like a damn fool. Before I go on the Diamondback thing for this, say that, would you like to bitch historically about Crispus Attucks?
Oh my god.
Okay. So, Crispus Attucks is this building that is named after one of the great black heroes, and Aggro took the time to stop the episode to yell about how this is not true, so...
Okay, so, as we all know, American history is the greatest fiction story ever written. Fucking the Boston Massacre. Which was the Redcoats just opening fire on an unarmed group of civilians for no fucking reason. And Crispus Attucks, he took one of those first bullets because he's a patriot and hero. Bostonians were literally rioting and throwing sticks and rocks and shit at, like, a very small platoon of British regulars. And this was going on for a while when one of them got, like, clocked in the face with a rock. Finally, knocked him over bloody, so they fired into the crowd to try and disperse them. And Crispus Attucks did take one of those shots. Although he may have taken that shot after it passed through another guy. The forensics is weird on that. So Crispus Attucks, while being one of the coolest named motherfuckers in American history, was some guy in a riot crowd that got shot by a soldier. He's not a fucking hero.
But, I mean, isn't that just kind of like how the media treats these kind of situations today? So, I mean, like, has history really changed at all? But, yeah. Oh, so that fucking Crispus Attucks scene, like, that building that they kept showing. I hated how they did that narratively, because it's like... Because you see him, I think it's like in episode 3, he's outside the building.
Oh, yeah, that weird time jump thing.
Yeah, like, it's like... He's like there, and then the episode goes, and then it shows him outside the building again, And then, like, the next episode, I think, or something, is...
Yeah, like, by the time you get to the end of it all, you're like, oh, I see what they did. Why did they do it?
Yeah, like, it was this weird, like, jumbled narrative where they were kind of jumping around the timeline to that Christmas attic scene. And it's like, okay, like, that would have kind of worked maybe at the very first episode had started with that scene, and you build up to that a couple episodes later.
I feel like the first half of the series was supposed to be the series.
Yeah. It was very, like, that's the thing, like, this whole series, this whole first season, is very janky in terms of its narrative, like, how it unfolds it. Like, the first half doesn't suffer anywhere near as bad as the second half, but the first half had its weird jank moments. And then, when you have, and then, like I said, it just completely falls apart in the second half. Like, I've heard people say, like, oh, well, it was still really good. I'm like, not really. It's like, it was at least better than Daredevil Season 2. I'm like, no, the fuck it wasn't. Because, just the Punisher part, like that Punisher storyline at the beginning of Daredevil Season 2, is better than all of Luke Cage Season 1. Like I can't think of, like, a single thing in Luke Cage Season 1 that was even close to as good as that Punisher stuff. It's just, by the time the hand shows up in Daredevil Season 2, it just kind of... But there were still cool things happening, especially mostly when the Punisher's end of things. Like, every time the Punisher had, like his story arc was interweaving, it's like, yeah! We're going back to Elektra.
God, fucking Elektra.
Yeah, Punisher's back! Oh, Elektra's in the story again. Yeah, Punisher! So that... the Punisher carries Daredevil Season 2. Like, there's nothing carrying this.
You know who I was surprised that turned out to not be great by the end of Luke Cage? Misty Knight.
Yeah, right?
Her character just kind of fell apart with this really long, unnecessary, almost cringy, her talking to a police shrink in an interrogation room thing.
That was... Yeah, cringy is a good word to describe that, because that was just kind of uncomfortable.
I'm like, guys, written. You got away with this in Daredevil Season 2 when Daredevil and Punisher are talking on the roof. I don't know how you got away with it. You just did it really well and it worked. Mm-hmm. But that's... You can't just do that again.
Yeah, like, you can't just have... Like, literally just psychoanalyze a character, like that, and just have them spew out, like... I mean, Ava did it, but Ava is Ava. Not everything gets to be Ava. Only Ava and Shin Godzilla get to be Ava.
I did like how they really kept threatening to cut her fucking arm off that whole show.
Right? Because I'm kind of waiting for that, because, I feel like maybe they're going to say that for, like, something else. Because I feel like at some point it's got to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, we're just going to keep teasing it. But, so, when fucking Diamondback shows up in his ridiculous-ass costume, like, I don't mind the costume. The helmet looks dumb as shit. But, like, the costume itself looks pretty cool. I kind of fucking hate the fact that it gives him fucking superpowers. And that was just sort of dumb fucking thing where it's just like he has a gauntlet that allows him to give him, like, a fucking super punch. And I'm like, it's like a gauntlet. Right? It's a glove.
Like, Hammer can't figure out how to make an Iron Man-sized exosuit.
Yeah.
Somehow figures out and produces a cloth suit that gives him protection and super strength.
Yeah, and that the fucking, like, the glove thing specifically, like, when it's just, like, the glove, and he punches that cop, I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, I imagine it's just force being ejected out of the gauntlet, not actually giving him a stronger...
See, like, but they don't describe it as that. Like, they don't really... Yeah, so they don't really convey how the hell that shit works. All they just go is like, it's made the same shit as the magic bullet.
Yeah, it's glowing.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah,
it's glowing, Jay. It works.
Yeah, it's fucking magic. They ain't gotta explain shit. So, yeah, that I thought was dumb. And then, like, when he has, like, the full suit, I'm like, really? He's got, like, this weird...
The whole fight of, like, punch him in the face!
Yeah, punch him in the goddamn face! Fucking just pick him up, break him like Bane. God damn it!
At which point, all subtlety of narrative goes out of the entire series, and all of Harlem is cheering, punch that guy really hard, Luke Cage!
Right? Oh god, I fucking hate that fucking scene where just, like, the people of Harlem are like, man, he's talking about your mama! You gonna let him talk about your mama? Kick his ass, Luke Cage! I'm like,
we have daddy issues, which is apparently now the focus of the emotional narrative.
Right? Oh my god, Diamondback had no reason to hate Luke Cage to the extent that he did. It's like, Daddy loved you more!
Well, I mean, he did go to prison instead of the Marines. But then Luke Cage went to prison too, so...
Yeah. Eye for an eye, prison sentence for a prison sentence?
Oh, fucking...
Yeah, and... Oh my god, just the way all this shit... It didn't have to be this bad, Aggro. It didn't. So yeah, like that fucking stupid-ass outfit he's in, that fight is horrible. It is slow and sluggish. There's no choreography.
I think I referred to it as a dad fight when I was watching it.
That's a beautiful way, yeah. Except, whenever I think of like a good dad fight, I think of,
They Live?
They Live. Because, like, that's a good fucking dad fight. Just two dudes beating the shit out of each other in the street. That's a great dad fight. This is like a really shitty this is like two dads pretending to have a dad fight for the sake of their kids, so that way they look cool in front of them. I
mean, they did do environmental effecting really well.
Yeah, that would be, like that was the only time the fight looked remotely impressive. It's like when Luke Cage would, like, hit him, and he, like, hit a car, and the car just kind of crumples in.
Yeah.
Like, those practical effects were done so well, but it's just, god damn it, like, fucking make this fight feel like it has some legitimate weight to it, like these are two titanic men fighting each other. Or, just fucking punch him in the face and end the shit. It was so dumb. It didn't have to be the way it was. And then, like, they didn't have, like, enough fucking fight to last. So then, like, the fight ends in the beginning of in the final episode. So then you get 35 minutes of fucking epilogue.
Like, even in the middle of the fight, like, this series problem with flashbacks and story structure, the middle of the fight, we start introducing some boxing flashback that's apparently key to their relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, just the way that they unfolded that shit. Because, like, Luke Cage's story really they should have just done the fucking Daredevil thing. They should have just kind of shown, like, his story, maybe try to build a parallel between him and Cottonmouth. Like, oh, look, they both came from Harlem. How Cottonmouth went this through, huh?
He was from Georgia.
He's from Georgia? Oh, shit, you're right. Right, I forgot about that. Yeah, he ended up moving to Harlem because of
that was one of the fascinating things about the first part of the series. It's like, no, he's not from Harlem.
Yeah, so, okay, then you have, like, a different parallel to go, like, like how that kind of environment changes a person and how they develop. You could have had that as, like, the crux of the story and not killed Cottonmouth. Oh my god. Or, you know what? Kill Cottonmouth and make the parallel between him and Mariah. I mean, I would have watched Mariah in a super suit have a fucking throwdown with Luke Cage.
Like, when Shade showed up as an emissary for some far-off crime lord, I really thought that's how it was going to go. It was going to be Cottonmouth, and when Cottonmouth died, it was going to be Mariah, and it was going to be this sub-narrative about, the white man coming in and dictating how things are going to be in Harlem.
Yeah, they could have done that. Because, I mean, if you're going to go blaxploitation...
So they wanted to make the series even more cliche.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're doing a send-up to old blaxploitation. That shit lives and breathes on cliche. And it could have worked.
Which is another part of how Diamondback just fucking ruins it.
Yeah, because, like, he's just so completely at odds with the rest of this goddamn show.
Because, like, as soon as the Judas Bullets show up, the whole thing flips a switch.
Yeah.
Because the first part, like I said, is about Luke Cage's moral decisions and the sociological implications of an invulnerable man with super strength deciding what justice is, to now all the guns work on him.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, that does create, like, a sense of narrative tension. Because, especially, like, when the cops show up with, like, the Judas 2.0s. Like, that I thought was pretty interesting. But, fucking Diamondback, still. I still just blame everything on him, because it is. It's all his fault. He's the one that ruins it. And, like I said, like, the entire last episode is just epilogue. It is just dragging its ass epilogue. And I'm like, god damn it, fucking end already. This series did not have enough material even to fill its 13-episode quota. Like, yeah, it could have gone so many different ways. It clearly didn't even, like, if Cottonmouth was going to be, like, the crux of the story, they didn't even have enough for that. Like, it ends, like, he dies in episode 7, and they couldn't even keep the story going for, like, that long, to a point where you had to have this 35-minute fucking epilogue. That just drags, and drags, and drags,
because the problem with Luke Cage, narratively, like as a character, is that Luke Cage doesn't have a second act. He can't. because there's no like midpoint culmination. There's no like, oh, we need to hang back after that first defeat and plan for, because he's Luke fucking Cage. He wins when he decides to.
Yeah, and man, all I'm just hoping is that instead of a season 2, we get Heroes for Hire, because next is Iron Fist, and then is Defenders. Actually, I think we might be getting the Punisher series. I think the Punisher series is actually coming between those two. So yeah, we're gonna get Iron Fist, Punisher, and Defenders. Hopefully, after Defenders, we'll get Daredevil season 2 or season 3, Jessica Jones season 2. And instead of Iron Fist and Luke Cage being solo, we just get a Heroes for Hire season 1, because that will be just the best way to go about it. And yeah, fuck, man, fuck you, Diamondback. You ruined what could have been a good show, you cocksucker.
Cottonmouth lives.